Hello, Patriots. Neil Sperling here. What's been happening is the way the masses have been losing the control of the narrative online, and it's putting a big damper into our attitudes and the things that we can do. However, in this video I'm going to share with you some very simple ways we can take back control of the narrative. We all know that the last few days that Trump was in office, he shared some meaningful talks. He encouraged us all to be patient, because the plan that the generals and Trump are working on has been a plan that's been 20 years plus in the making. And us keyboard warriors, us patriots, we've been doing research and we think, how come things aren't happening? But I tell you something, we didn't know what was going on behind the scenes for the last 20 years. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes right now. And I know what's going on behind is big. It's big. It's a global impact. It has nothing to do with just one country. This is huge, what's coming down. And it's quite okay that we're kept in the dark, because the last thing that we want to have happen is to have deep state know the plans. But there's something that us patriots can do right now. We don't have to just sit back on our laurels and wait to see what comes up. We can actually do something. One of the things, or three of the things that Trump said before he was taken down off of Twitter and before he was taken out of the picture of the communication line with us. He said, be patient. Number 2, be peaceful. Law and order was important. Each and every one of us, that's our number 1 objective right now, is to be patient and peaceful. Because if we step out of line, we'll screw up the whole plan. But with peace, and peace, profound, is the most powerful force in the universe. Way more powerful than love, but because you can have love without having peace. You're right in the middle of chaos. You can love somebody and feel loved. But when you're in total peace profound, like deep, sincere, powerful peace profound, there's automatic love. And peace profound is way more powerful than just love by itself. So the 3 things that he said, be patient and peaceful. And did you notice, just in the last month, 6 weeks, prior to Parler being taken down and Trump being kicked off of Twitter and the censorship starting to be beefed up, pedophilia, that came back into the picture. And it seemed to be in the background for a while. But now we can bring that up. And what I'm going to share with you is how we can control the narrative in a most fun way. Absolutely fun way. We're going to do it deliberately. And we're going to do it in a way that will surprise deep state and throw them right off their pedestal. It'll knock them right down. Because you see that the deepest, darkest secret of deep state is human trafficking, pedophilia, adrenochrome, and all the things that go along with it. But there's only one way we can do that, is we have to be deliberate. I watched a movie, Wyatt Earp, a number of years back, and there was one part of that movie that stood out in my mind, and I watched it all again just so I could capture this one little segment for you. So here it is.
Ed's got a different style is all, Wyatt. People like it.
You could get killed in this line of work, Ed. You could get people around you killed.
Why, we're just getting started.
I know. And when I hit that fella, bet your first instinct was to pull your weapon and cover me. This is a harsh land, Ed. It doesn't suffer fools.
I'm not a fool, Wyatt.
No, you're not. But you're not a deliberate man, Ed. I don't sense that about you. You're too affable.
We have to be deliberate. You see, tree hugging is one side of it. The other side of it is shaking the trees without breaking them, because shaking the trees knocks the seeds down onto the ground, and the seeds can then therefore be watered. So what are we going to do? How can we be deliberate? We're going to take their slogan. That's right. We're going to use their slogan, build back better. We're going to use their slogan, build back better, for our purposes. We're going to take over and monopolize their slogan, build back better. The same way as the investors just did a while back with GameStop. We took over their game, and we can take over their slogan, build back better. Right now, build back better now means human trafficking. It is estimated that there are some 20 million humans in the world trapped in some form or another, all connected to human trafficking. If we are to build back better, we must end human trafficking. And if we all did that every day, we would make a huge impact. We would be controlling our narrative using their slogan and their hashtag. There's approximately, at the making of this video, around 100,000 hashtag post Build Back Better found on Facebook. If you do a search for Build Back Better on Facebook, right now there's around 100,000. I want to make that 2 million, but I want to have 1,899,000 of them, all with information that lead to human trafficking stories. That's right. So we use their slogan on all platforms. We're going to use their hashtag, Build Back Better, and it's going to mean human trafficking, because it's true. It's absolutely true. Just like I said right there. If we are to build back better, we must end human trafficking. And you know, there's another side to the whole human trafficking issue. That deep state wants to keep it quiet. And they don't want it in the news. They don't want anybody talking about it. Why? Because it is the one topic that unites everyone. Left, right, independent, or don't give a damn about government at all. Every person alive on the planet who's not participating in that wants to see it end. It's an issue that unites us in a way that no other issue does. So it is our most powerful stronghold as patriots to hammer lots of information all over the place on every platform that you belong to. Build back better. In order to do that, we must end human trafficking. We have to learn something about the power of duplication. Did you know if you double a penny 31 times, you will have over 1 billion pennies? That's right. Just double a penny 31 times. Just on the day 31, it's over $10 million. That's over 1 billion pennies. Below, I'll give you a link to give you a better picture of the power of duplication, and I highly recommend that you take a serious look at that video. Take the time and be deliberate. Be deliberate, because deliberate is important. And watch that video and understand the power of duplication. But what we're going to do is use that hashtag every day with a human trafficking story every day. If every one of us did that, just posted 1 or 2 stories on every platform that we belong to every day, if all of us did it, plus shared this video and this idea with 7 Share it with 7. Because 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 is 7 layers deep. Over 1 million, that fast. If everybody shared this video with 7 people, and all 7 of those people shared it with another 7 people, and they all started doing just 1 post a day on every platform that they belong to, it would be no time at all. And we'll have 2 million Build Back Better, we must end human trafficking stories on Facebook. We'll take over their slogan. It's simple. We have the power because we have the numbers. But it's time that we acted in a deliberate manner, building and working as a team. So that's what we're going to do. Use their hashtag Build Back Better, but also, if you want to, research what is the trending hashtag of the day. Add that to it. Build Back Better plus the trending hashtag of the day. We'll make sure that our stories of human trafficking get up on the top of their hashtags. Who said that the hashtag had to have anything to do with what the story is? So, therefore, we are controlling the narrative, aren't we? And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a gas. And watch the fear that we give them. They have been manipulating masses of the whole globe on fear-mongering around this pandemic. And it's artificial. It's fake. It's BS. But we're going to give them fear-mongering stories right back on their darkest secret. And it's not fake. They don't want it to find out. So it's up to us to make sure. So, every day, post 2 stories on every platform you belong to on human trafficking using the hashtag Build Back Better and whatever the trending hashtag is today if you wanted to add that too. We're going to create a juggernaut that's going to be absolutely fun. Watch. We'll end human trafficking. And we'll put a fear into deep state, and they'll wonder how in heck did we manage to do that. And it's so simple. Everybody do it deliberately. Power to the people. Yes, power to the people. The power is in your hands. The power is in my hands. The purpose of the series is to unite the digital warriors into doing some activity steps deliberately so that we can gain control of the narrative. And in this particular video, we're going to focus on newsprint media. Right after the 9/11 incident, when Bush went to Iraq, went to war, there was a lot of people starting to ask a lot of questions. There were 2 stories that surfaced. One, Martha Stewart, inside trading, and Michael Jackson holding a baby over a balcony on a high-rise. Those 2 stories took the front page news, and the war, which was really the front page news, went to page 4 with little tiny articles. Once again, the narrative was in their control, and they used Martha and Michael as decoys to take the heat off of Bush. Media uses fear-mongering to control the masses, and they have been doing it for years and years. You go back into the 70s, and everybody was worried about an ice age coming. They promoted ice age. And then it was the hole in the ozone layer. And then it was back to climate change. They're always working on fear-mongering in different ways that they can control the masses. They started off with H1N1. and then SARS, and another couple viruses in between. So they were practicing on what it took in order to control the whole population. Then along came 2020, and that's when they put their plans into motion to control us all. But we can put that same fear-mongering back right into their hands, and we're going to use something that they're afraid of. And they don't want us uniting on anything. And the one topic that all people on the planet unite on is human trafficking. We all want to put an end to human trafficking, adrenochrome, pedophilia, the illegal sale of body parts, all of the things that come with that human trafficking. We definitely want to get rid of that. And that's deep state's darkest secret, and they do everything possible to use decoys in the media to keep our attention off of that topic. We have to act deliberately, just like I said in the video number 1. Make sure you watch that. We need to be deliberate. We do not have to be too affable. We have to be compassionate, yes, but affable, no. We have to shake some trees. So once you have all of the columns completed and you farmed it out and you have all of the information from every single newspaper in your state all filled out, now you have the contact list complete. It's time to start the campaign. So what we're going to do is we're going to email each of those people that we have the email addresses for just a simple request. You are really concerned about human trafficking and you would really appreciate their news media to come up with some stories on it, enlighten us, have the journalist do some investigation and come up with the facts on Maxwell and Epstein and the flight logs and facts on all of the local arrests. And there's so much information that's not being shared, and we're going to encourage them to do their homework because we have a concern and we want that information be put into their newspaper. And the best part, doing it the old school way with email, they're not controlling us. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Parlor, no matter what, they've all seemed to find ways to control us and censor us. But emails, we're in control. Patriots, we are in control of the narrative. Yes, it's true. Humanity has reached a new crossroads in our evolution as a whole and as members of the human race on planet Earth. Our future is entirely in our own hands. It's up to us where we take it, what we do with it. For those of you who think that nothing is happening, there is lots happening behind the scenes that is not hitting the news, not hitting mainstream news, and without having Trump telling us what's going on in Twitter, we have to do a little bit more homework. But take a look at this. DuckDuckGo search sex trafficking arrest in 2021. And this, I can just scroll down. You can do your own research, do your own DuckDuckGo search, and just scroll down. There's more results. Lots. So stay informed. Do some research. You're going to have to do a little more digging, that's all. But things are definitely happening. Neil Sperling here with video number 3 of the Patriots taking back control of the narrative. In video number 1, we covered hashtag and taking over their slogan. That's a fun one. Video number 2, we covered the print media. And in this video, we're going to touch on radio. I opened this video a little different because there's an awful lot of people heard about the tunnels and they don't know if they're real. Well, hopefully the intro of this video will give you a little bit of proof that they are in fact very real and they're not used for nice things. Human trafficking and drug running and things of that nature are all being done in these tunnels. So they're not put to use in the manner that we would like to see them used. But they're real. They're there. And hopefully that opening give you that little bit of an insight. But this video is all about taking back control of the narrative, and we're going to use radio. Why are we going to use radio? Because in your ears advertising works. In your ears marketing works. When you're in the car to and from work, just about everybody throws on the radio to catch a little bit of what's happening. Some people listen to their MP3s and Sirius radio so they don't have any advertising. But there's an awful lot of people actually going back to the radio because they like the variety and they like to have a little bit of commentary. We want to control that commentary for our purposes. We want to have positive stories about the cleaning up of the weeds being pulled on the Garden of Gaia, meaning we're pulling out the perpetrators of human trafficking and we're saving the children. So those are very, very positive stories. We have a tendency to look at this whole industry and all that activity as negative. We have to reframe it. We have to put a new frame around that picture because that picture is very positive. We're cleaning it up. The weeds are being pulled, thrown away. And the Garden of Gaia is going to be rid of that. And life will be a whole lot better for everyone when that is done. And it is Deep State's darkest, deepest secret, and they don't want us talking about it. As I said in the media video, they use decoys to take the minds of the masses elsewhere. You see, media, they do not control our thoughts, but they do control what we think about. Way too much. And we're not taught in school to have critical thinking enough. But that's all changing. The world is changing. People are waking up to everything that's been going on. And this video, In Your Ears Advertising, we're going to show you how, in simple steps, we can take control of the media, being the radio, In Your Ears Advertising. We're doing it very simple. We're doing it with lots of compassion. And all we're asking for is that the radio station tell some positive stories about the children being saved. Some positive stories about the perpetrators being put away. Those are positive stories. The weeds are being pulled. So if we sent the radio station links to recent stories, if they haven't been talking about them, well, let's reframe those stories as extremely positive and send it to each radio station. Work through the list, sending them all the positive stories. And it won't take too long and you're through that list. If you have a list of 300 names and you do 10 a day, in 1 month you're done. Do 5 a day in 2 months, you're done. And then follow up to see if there's any comments or any stories being mentioned. And if there is, then we can make a positive comment there too. And if there isn't, then we can, once again, just remind them that we want positive stories about the end of human trafficking coming together. The Patriots in control. And we're in control using Deep State's darkest secret. There's nothing more exciting than that. Nothing at all. We're putting fear into their minds. we're putting them into the paranoia. We're putting them into the chaos. They've been playing with our minds now, and they've been playing with our minds on a whole bunch of BS. And climate hoaxes and virus hoaxes and forcing people to wear masks, all nonsense. We're putting the fear into their mind on something they don't want uncovered. And it's true. It's not false. It's wicked. And they know it. So when we have those positive stories going out, we're putting the paranoia back in there. And let's face it, when they're scared, they're going to make more mistakes. And we're going to catch them all. Simple. Patriots, you know what? We are in control. We don't have to sit back and let Trump do it all. We can do much more than create a bunch of memes and post stories of news stories that we find. We can actually influence how the narrative is in our favor. We win. Light is winning. Yes, it's true. Humanity has reached a new crossroads in our evolution as a whole and as members of the human race on planet Earth. Our future is entirely in our own hands. It's up to us where we take it, what we do with it. Hello, Patriots. Neil Sperling here with video number 4 of the series, Patriots Gaining Control of the Narrative. In this video, we're going to control the narrative of our own minds. We're going to control the narrative of our own thoughts and actions, which is where the real control of the whole world comes from. It comes from within, each and every one of us individually, which is the theme, is not only controlling the narrative, but we're going to use deep state's deepest, darkest secret. And we're going to use that as our means to control the narrative. In video number 1, I showed you how you can control the narrative using hashtags. And video number 2, we control the narrative in the print media. And video number 3 was much more fun as controlling the narrative of the radio. And this one, still keeping onto the theme, remember, in order to build back better, we must eliminate human trafficking. And that build back better, of course, is the deep state's slogan for the global agenda 2030, build back better. But we cannot build back better without eliminating human trafficking, and we're going to be using that in the way I've designed in this video series. Patriots gain complete control back of the narrative. It's in our hands. It's we, the people, that have to do it. It's you and I. Right down to the bottom line, it's you and I. We are the ones responsible. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We can't let Trump and the generals do it all on their own. They haven't been able to do it on their own right up to this point, and they'll never be able to do it on their own. Because we the people, that's what this all is about. We the people, taking back our countries. And I say countries because this is a global event that's happening. Down goes the cabal. And in order to build back better, we must eliminate human trafficking. We all look up to and admire and appreciate President Donald Trump. He amplifies the characteristics of so many good virtues. He has his flaws, as we all do. But let's see if we can develop those virtues, the ones that we love about the man, as our own characteristics, our own virtues, our own strengths. It takes deliberate. Once again, there's the word deliberate. See video number 1 for that. It takes deliberate action to get control of the narrative. It takes deliberate action to assume a virtue. So the virtues that I listed, that Donald Trump totally amplifies, well, we all know he's brilliant, and not every one of us can attain that level of competency with our thinking and strategic thoughts. But at the same time, we all are brilliant in our own way. Each and every one of us have our strengths. So Donald J. Trump, President Trump, is brilliant, yes. But he's extremely disciplined. Extremely disciplined. He's strategic and he lays out his plan. And he sticks to the plan. He's deliberate and he's compassionate and he puts in long hours, he works hard. Those are all virtues that we can all learn to develop within ourselves, that he animates completely. He personifies them all. He amplifies them all. And through all of that, he has a confidence that radiates. His confidence is so strong, some people would consider it as egotistical, but it isn't. The more you get to know him, the more you listen to him when he's in his compassionate modes and just talking from the heart and not following a script. He is a very deeply compassionate man, and his confidence is not driven from an egotistical point of view. His confidence is his own personal power. So we can all assume the virtue of personal power. How do we go about doing that? There's 2 things at play. I'm going to touch on the timelines too. We're working at 2 different timelines right now. Timeline 1 is the globalist agenda and their timeline to achieve 2030. Not going to happen. The New World Order, their style, is not going to happen. Our agenda, however, is. More of us are waking up to the desire for freedom. More of us are waking up to the desire for moving back towards common law, which is closer to God's law. There are so many changes going to be taking place. And in the monetary system, in the political system, the justice system, globally. It's all going to be changed, and world peace will come from it. So, those 2 timelines are important to keep in the back of your mind. Timeline 1 is the globalist agenda. Timeline 2 is our freedom agenda, taking back control, power to the people. We'll make the latter happen. And to assume the virtue, we'll start here. Now that we have the virtues of a fearless lion, a fearless leader, we want to assume those virtues for ourselves. So we start off with nothing more than an idea. And as we ponder that idea becomes occasional thoughts. We've got our occasional thoughts. What do you think happens next? Well, next, those occasional thoughts become more often. We're thinking about them more often. So they become habitual thought patterns. The more we have those thought patterns, the more they become part of who we are. So they truly become an actual habit that we can't get rid of because they're automatic. It's not something that we occasionally have habitual thought patterns anymore. We are now thinking about it a lot, and they're just part of who we are becoming. What happens next? Those habitual thought patterns actually become a totally ingrained habit. It's a habit of the way we think. It's a habit of the way we are. So our habits then, they start to take over our life. And we don't control them. They control us. That's how come bad habits are easy to make and difficult to live with. And good habits are very difficult to make, but they're easy to live with. So after we have those habits starting to ingrain into our character, that truly then becomes who we are. So there you are. You've taken an idea, a virtue that someone else may have that you wanted to develop as your own. So you think about it all occasionally. And then pretty soon you're thinking about it more habitually. And then you practice being that. And that then becomes your fully ingrained habit. And it becomes who you are. So assume a virtue, and it is yours. So that is our expanding character. But it works the same as a collective for all of humanity. For all of humanity right now, there are two timelines at play. The first timeline was the one of the globalist. And we're going to use this same principle. They have their 2030 agenda. That's their idea. And they occasionally have been manipulating our thinking by using fear campaigns and a whole bunch of propaganda. They infiltrated our minds and our airways, our media, and controlled all of the social media censorship so that they're controlling our habitual thought patterns. That is becoming a habit. And so many people are buying into that. They're sitting in fear. They're negative. You see them. They're running around outside, a block away from other people, walking their dog with a damn mask on. You know darn well that they've just been fear-mongered. And it's the same process of brainwashing the masses, which is what the globalist agenda has done up to this point. And that's creating a whole bunch of sheep. But the Great Awakening is happening, and that's exciting because what's happening now is the other side of the coin, the right thinkers who are starting to wake up. They are starting to take control of the narrative. So what we're going to see then is the right side is winning. Light is winning. And this is what we're actually seeing play out right before our eyes. We now have freedom, the idea of moving back towards common law. We're wanting to take back the power to the people, so those are becoming occasional thoughts. And more of us, it's become a habitual thought patterns. And they're ingraining into ourselves. We're controlling the narrative of what we think about. That's the beautiful thing. See, we control the narrative starting with ourselves and what we allow ourselves to think about. The ideas that we take on for ourselves, the occasional thoughts, what we read, what we watch on TV. Do we shut CNN off so that we don't have any of those propaganda coming in from over here? This is the new world that is unfolding. And it's unfolding because of you and because of me. And we're all in this together. So this is the most fascinating when you think about it. The ideas that it takes to make an individual character, that is the dream of the world, because that's part of each individual's ego, the dream of the world. But the dream of the planet, that's everybody. So this is starting to come into being our way. We are beginning to control the narrative. Because why? We started to control what we are allowing ourselves to be thinking about. We're no longer being deceived. We're no longer being manipulated. We're no longer sheep. We are awake. That is part of the Great Awakening. And we're awakening to the planet. The dream of the planet is for all of humanity. The globalist agenda is all about just themselves and how they want to manipulate us to live up to their bidding. That's not happening. You and I have every right to be here, just like the trees and the stars. We have a right to be here. And whether or not it's clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. I've studied mysticism for 26 years. I've studied a little bit of Toltec. I've been to just all kinds of churches. I was a Mormon for a number of years. I was born and raised under the Alliance as well as United. I've attended Catholic. I've really done a lot of homework looking for the truth of what is happening. And I'm inclined to believe more in the realm of spirituality. I definitely believe Jesus was a man who became enlightened, and he is the Prince of Peace. No question. He is the Prince of Peace. And I want to develop the peace that he has. Most definitely. That's part of who I am and who I am becoming. And that is a characteristic that I am taking on. That's a virtue that I'm doing my best to have. And how can you do that? Just being a compassionate human being. Best to remain compassionate even under tough and adverse situations. Do I win all the time? Oh, no, I definitely don't. I'm a human being, and every once in a while I blow my lid. But having said that, the whole world is waking up to the potential of who we are. And John 14:10 through 12 are my favorite verses, which basically says, "Why do you marvel at the works that I do, and others will come to do more?" And he's speaking not of himself, but of the Father within him. So therefore, that peace of God, the peace of creative source, is inside each and every person. It's inside you. It's inside me. And little things happen when you're in tune. Take a look. This is video number 2 of this series. See, video number 2. This is the cover. And I captured this because I never planned it. But look what happened. The time. 17. We all know what 17 is. Okay, who is the one? Most people will say that's Trump. I say I totally 1000% disagree with that. Trump is part of 17. The generals and Trump, they are the leaders of the plan. They are the ones that put the whole plan together. Who's the one? It's you and it's me. And by fluke? No. By divine providence. The number of minutes on my second video is 17.01. And that's no accident. And that's why I'm sharing it here. Because it is all part of proof that the plan is unfolding exactly as it should. So where do we go from here? Let's recap what we've covered so far. We've taken a look at what a virtue actually is. We've listed a number of virtues that we would like to assimilate into our own being. And we've also considered that the Agenda 2030 of the globalist, that's one timeline that we're facing. The other timeline is the freedom and the coming together and the taking back control of the power to the people. That's power to the people. This whole awakening is about power to the people. Firstly, as individuals, as we increase our own powers by amplifying the virtues that we have that are already really good, and assuming the virtues that we would like to have, and thereby continuously, always working on ourselves. Constant and never-ending improvement of who we are as individuals, empowering ourselves, taking back the power of the people over the elitist control, and therefore we're lifting all of humanity up. The whole of humanity, where we go one, we go all, is exactly as what is happening. So as we assume those virtues, we not only lift ourselves up, but in so doing, our vibrations, because we're lifting ourselves up, all the people that are around us and the ones that we are vibrationally connected to, we uplift them as well. So where we go one, we go all is all inclusive, and light is winning. Light came not from darkness, because darkness is an absence of light. So, and as we bring in the light and the compassion to the world, we eliminate all the darkness. And light right now is exposing all of the corruption. It's exposing it all. And now we see that as weeds in the Garden of Gaia that we can go and pull. And one of the biggest weeds is the human trafficking. And this whole series is to taking back control of the narrative for ourselves as well as a collective to control the narrative and finish pulling the weeds. Pull them all. Every one. Every single one. So these are positive times. So we assume the virtues. We build our own character. We become stronger in ourselves. We become more deliberate in our actions. And guess what? We are much more effective with the speed of the awakening of the whole planet. Yes. Yes, peace is winning because we are winning. We, the people, are taking back control of the narrative. And we start with the control of ourselves. There are 4 basic types of people, and I'm going to relate that specifically to the awakening politically and what's really going on. First, we have the people who are blind as a bat. They haven't got a clue what's going on. They see nothing that's going on, and they don't want to see. They're just the ones that's the level of their awareness and understanding is. They're still beautiful people, and they have every right to be here on planet Earth. Absolutely. The Creator made us all. So there's no one that's exempt from the right to be here. So they're beautiful people. And they have that spark of the divine, that spark of God inside them too. So they're blind as a bat. Then we have the sheep. The sheep are emotionally attached to their beliefs. They have not developed any critical thinking skills, and they are easily manipulated by the narrative and the propaganda of the systems at play. And they're still beautiful people too. Absolutely beautiful. Can you imagine a life without the wool of a lamb? That's a good way of putting it. Can you imagine? This is a wool fabric. Without the sheep, I wouldn't be able to have a nice jacket. So yes, the sheep are beautiful and they're valuable. And they haven't got a clue what's going on globally, though. They just think they know. They're caught up in their emotional beliefs. That's it. Then we have the people who are beginning to wake up. They're starting to see things. And first level of those is the otters. They like to play. They absolutely love to play. We all have a little bit of otter in us too. That's cool. And the way they work is they'll work on a whole bunch of memes. And oh my gosh, they plaster memes everywhere on social media, thinking that they're contributing a great deal. You know what? They are contributing. But mostly they're having fun. They're being otters. They're not being deliberate. They're not working as a team. And we can work individually as a team, as this whole set of 4 videos is all about how we can work together as a team, individually. And it's all there in all these videos. It's all there, controlling the narrative. 1, 2, 3, and now this one 4. So there's the otters. They're having fun. But the ones who are the lions, they're the ones that jump on a program that they see has a potential of doing things. They'll discipline themselves, absolutely discipline themselves, and with compassion, they'll follow the strategy and deliberately make the steps. And if all they can do is 15 minutes of serious step making in a day, they will not go to bed without making those 15 minutes. Why? Because they're deliberate. Number two, they're passionate. And they know that if we work together, the only way we can work together is if we start doing things that can be linked to other people and create a team, even if we're not in the same room or in the same town or even in the same country. We can all work together. So that's the otters. They're having fun. And the lions are awake and they're doing their work. And so the whole purpose of this particular video number 4, are you ready for it? Are you truly ready? Are you truly ready to wake up the lion in you? Are you ready to take the gauntlet and run with it? Or the baton? Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to follow the steps in these 4 videos and encourage other people to do the same to make it all happen? Are you ready to roar like a lion?